Have you ever had that one moment where the people who were supposed to love you the most looked you straight in the eyes and chose money over you? Asterisk. I was standing in our kitchen, shaking, holding a crumpled envelope with my very last paycheck. 22 years old, working 2 jobs, still coming home to the same house I grew up in. And my own father pointed at the door and said the words I will never forget as long as I live. Asterisk. Either pay full rent by the end of the month, or pack your bags and get out. This isn't a charity. Asterisk. My little sister Emily just stared at the floor. My stepmom Karen smirked behind her coffee mug, and in that second something inside me snapped. Not into anger. No, it snapped into ice-cold clarity. Asterisk. Because what they didn't know was that for 2 whole years I had been saving every single penny in total silence. What they didn't know was that the house we were all standing in was never theirs to begin with. Asterisk. And 6 months later I walked back through that same front door with a set of papers in my hand and I evicted every single one of them. Asterisk. This is the story of how my own family threw me away like trash and how I came back and took everything they had. Stick with me, because this one gets dark before the sun finally comes up. Asterisk. Let's go back to the beginning so you understand why this hurts so bad. Asterisk. I grew up in a beautiful 2-story house on Maple Street, white picket fence, huge oak tree in the front yard. The kind of place the neighbors always called picture perfect. But inside those walls it stopped being a home the day my real mom died. Asterisk. I was 12 when cancer took her. 1 year later Dad married Karen. Karen came with her own daughter Ashley, 2 years younger than me and spoiled from the minute she walked through the door. Asterisk. After the wedding, everything about me became a problem. My laugh was too loud, my grades weren't good enough, my existence was apparently expensive. Asterisk. Dad changed overnight. The man who used to carry me on his shoulders suddenly looked at me like I was a bill he couldn't afford to pay. Asterisk. By the time I turned 18, I was already working at the diner after school just to pay for my own phone and clothes. Dad said it was teaching me responsibility. Karen called it pulling my weight. Asterisk. When I graduated high school, college wasn't even a conversation. Dad sat me down and said, we can't afford to send 2 kids to college. Ashley's the priority now. Asterisk. I smiled, said okay, and got a second job. Asterisk. For 4 years I lived in that house like a tenant who just happened to share DNA with the landlord. I paid for groceries when they forgot to shop. I paid the water bill when it got shut off. I even paid Ashley's car insurance twice when she wrecked her BMW doing donuts in an empty parking lot. Asterisk. And every time I handed over money, Karen would pat my cheek and say, such a good big sister. Asterisk. I swallowed it. I told myself, family sticks together. I told myself one day they would finally see how hard I was trying. Asterisk. Then came the month I lost my night job. Asterisk. 2 weeks before my 23rd birthday, the factory I cleaned at night closed down without warning. Suddenly I was down to 1 paycheck. The diner tips had been awful because of road construction blocking half the town. Asterisk. Rent day came and I was short $420. Asterisk. I walked into the kitchen that evening holding the envelope with everything I had. Dad was at the table counting cash, Ashley's new cheerleading fees. Asterisk. I slid the envelope across to him. I'm short this month. I lost the factory job. I'll have it by next week, I swear. Asterisk. He didn't even open it. He just pushed it back. Asterisk. Emily, we've been more than fair. You're an adult. Adults pay their way or they find somewhere else. Asterisk. Karen piped up from the couch. We're not running a hotel, honey. Asterisk. I looked at Ashley. She was filming the whole thing on her phone, smirking like it was the funniest video she'd ever make. Something inside me went completely quiet. I asked, very calmly, how long do I have? Asterisk's dad didn't even look up. End of the month. That's 10 days. 10 days to come up with rent or be homeless. That night I sat on the back porch steps and cried until there were no tears left. Then I opened my banking app. Asterisk. For 2 years I had a secret savings account Dad knew nothing about. Every extra tip, every birthday check from my late mom's sister, every skipped meal, it all went in there. Asterisk. Balance, $187,412. And right next to it in my bookmarks was the county property records page. I had been checking every single week for 24 months straight. Asterisk. Because the house on Maple Street never belonged to Dad or Karen. Asterisk, it belonged to my mom, and when she died, it went into a trust for me when I turned 20-5. Asterisk, or, if I could prove financial independence and hardship caused by the current occupants, the trust would release early. I had 10 days. The next morning I called in sick to the diner, first time in 4 years. Asterisk, I put on the only blazer I owned and walked into the law office of Mr. Hargrove, the trustee who managed Mom's estate. Asterisk, he remembered me. He had sent me birthday cards every year with a little note. This will all be yours soon. Asterisk, I slid him the folder I had been building for 2 years. Bank statements, text messages of me paying bills, recordings of Karen calling me nothing but a freeloader, photos of Ashley's shopping bags while I ate ramen for dinner. Asterisk, then I slid him the final piece. A printed copy of the eviction notice they were about to serve me. Asterisk, Mr. Hargrove read everything in total silence. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. Asterisk, Emily, your mother would be so proud of how strong you've become. The hardship clause is crystal clear. I can file for emergency release of the trust today. I asked the question that had been burning in my throat for years. Does that mean the house becomes mine? Legally. Asterisk, he nodded. 100%. Title transfers to you the moment the judge signs, and anyone living there without your permission becomes a tenant at sufferance. I felt my heart start to race. Mr. Hargrove, how fast can a judge sign? Asterisk, he smiled for the first time. I play golf with Judge Ramirez. How does Friday sound? It was Tuesday. 4 days. Asterisk, for the rest of that week I became the sweetest, most obedient daughter on planet Earth. Asterisk, I cooked Karen's favorite lasagna. I offered to drive Ashley to cheer practice. I even told Dad, you're right, I need to stand on my own 2 feet. Thank you for teaching me that. Asterisk, they ate it up. Karen kept saying, see, a little tough love was all she needed. Asterisk, every night I came home, smiled, and went to my room, where I packed one single box of my things, just photos of Mom and my baby blanket. Asterisk, everything else in that house I didn't want anymore. Asterisk. Friday morning I got the text from Mr. Hargrove, signed, congratulations, Miss Emily Harper, you are now the sole owner of 1247 Maple Street. Asterisk, I screenshot it, saved it as my lock screen. Asterisk, then I called a locksmith, a moving company, and the sheriff's department for a civil standby, just in case. And I waited. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock sharp. Asterisk, Dad was in his robe drinking coffee. Karen was doing yoga in the living room. Ashley was still asleep. The doorbell rang. Dad opened it and froze. Asterisk, standing there was me, dressed in a black blazer, hair done, holding a clipboard. Asterisk, behind me, the locksmith, 2 deputies, and a moving truck. I smiled, the calmest smile of my entire life. Good morning, Dad, we need to talk. Asterisk, he blinked like he was seeing a ghost. Emily, what the hell is this? Asterisk, I handed him the stack of papers. This is the deed to the house. In my name, effective yesterday. Asterisk, Karen came running. What is going on? Asterisk, I turned to her. Karen, you have exactly 1 hour to remove your personal belongings. Anything left on the curb after that will be considered abandoned property. Asterisk, Ashley appeared at the top of the stairs in her pajamas, screaming, this is my house. Asterisk, I looked up at her slowly. No, Ashley, it never was. Asterisk, Dad started yelling, waving the papers. This is fraud. You can't do this. Asterisk, one of the deputies stepped forward. Sir, these documents are court-ordered and recorded with the county. You need to comply or we'll have to remove you. The color drained from Dad's face. Karen lunged at me, screaming, you ungrateful little asterisk. The deputy blocked her. Ma'am, step back. Asterisk, I didn't flinch. I didn't yell. I just spoke clearly so the body cam would catch every word. Asterisk, you had 10 days to treat me like family. Instead, you chose to treat me like a tenant. Now you get to see how it feels to be on the other side. You've never seen 3 people move so fast in your life. Ashley was sobbing, throwing designer bags into her BMW. Karen was screaming into her phone trying to find a lawyer who worked weekends. Dad just stood in the driveway staring at the house like it might disappear if he blinked. Asterisk, I walked room by room making sure they only took what was actually theirs. Every time Karen tried to grab something that had been Mom's, I quietly said, that stays. At one point, Dad grabbed my arm, hard. Emily, please, this is our home. You can't do this to your family. I looked him dead in the eye. You stopped being my family the day you chose rent money over your own daughter. I pulled my arm away and kept walking. 58 minutes later, the moving truck was empty. They had filled 4 cars to the brim, asterisk, as the last box went into Karen's SUV. Dad turned to me one final time. Asterisk, where are we supposed to go? Asterisk, I shrugged. I hear there are some really nice extended stay motels off Route 9. They take weekly payments. Asterisk, Ashley screamed and peeled out of the driveway. Karen followed, crying so hard she could barely drive. Asterisk, Dad was last. He stood there holding one small suitcase, looking 20 years older. Asterisk, I handed him an envelope, the same kind I had handed him 10 days earlier. Asterisk. Inside was exactly $420 in cash. Asterisk. That's what I was short, I said. Now we're even. Asterisk. He stared at the money like it was poison. Then he got in his truck and left. I watched the last car disappear down Maple Street. Then I turned around, walked back inside, and closed my own front door for the very first time. Asterisk. The silence was deafening. I walked from room to room, touching the walls Mom had painted, running my fingers over the banister she used to slide down with me when I was little. Asterisk. I kept 3 things that were hers: her wedding ring, the family photos, and the wind chimes on the back porch that played her favorite song when the breeze hit just right. Asterisk. Everything else, donated or sold. Asterisk. I repainted every single room, tore up the carpet Karen had ruined with red wine stains, turned Ashley's old bedroom into an office, turned the basement into a guest suite for the aunt who had sent me those birthday checks all those years. Asterisk. 6 months later, the house looked nothing like the prison it had been. Asterisk. It looked like peace. Asterisk. Dad and Karen ended up in a 2-bedroom apartment 20 miles away. Last I heard, Karen's alimony from her first marriage ran out and Dad's trucking company laid him off. Asterisk. Ashley dropped out of college after 1 semester. Couldn't afford it without Dad's help. Asterisk. They've reached out exactly 3 times, each time asking for money. Each time I blocked the number. Asterisk. Some people say I went too far. Some people say blood is thicker than water. Asterisk. But here's the thing they don't understand. Asterisk. When you spend years being told you're worthless, you start to believe it. And then one day you wake up and realize the people saying it are the worthless ones. Asterisk. So, if you're watching this and you're in a family that treats you like an ATM or a punching bag, listen to me. Asterisk. Start saving in secret. Document everything. Build your exit before you ever need it. Asterisk. Because the best revenge isn't screaming or fighting. Asterisk. The best revenge is becoming so strong they can never hurt you again, and then quietly removing them from your life, like the poison they are. Asterisk. I didn't burn the house down. I just took back what was always mine. Asterisk. And now, every time those wind chimes ring on the back porch, I hear my mom telling me she's proud. Asterisk. Family isn't just blood. Family is who shows up when it's hard. Choose your family wisely. And if they ever tell you to pay rent or get out, sometimes the quietest comeback is buying the whole damn house and locking the door behind them.